Midnight Archives, Episode 1. The Dyatlov Pass. Mystery. The Night 9. Hikers vanished. February 1959. Deep within the frozen wilderness of the northern Ural Mountains, 9 experienced hikers embarked on a journey that would become one of the most chilling mysteries of the 20th century. They were young, they were healthy, and they were among the most experienced outdoor adventurers in the Soviet Union. Yet, within weeks, every member of the expedition would be dead. Their tent would be discovered ripped open from the inside. Footprints would lead away into the darkness, and some of the bodies would show injuries so severe that investigators compared them to those suffered in major car accidents. More than 60 years later, people still ask the same question. What happened at Dyatlov Pass? This is Midnight Archives, and tonight we open one of history's darkest files. The story begins with a 23-year-old engineering student named Igor Dyatlov. An experienced hiker and expedition leader, Dyatlov assembled a team of fellow students and graduates from the Ural Polytechnic Institute. The group planned an ambitious winter trek through one of the harshest environments in the Soviet Union. Their destination was Mount Otorten, a remote peak deep within the Ural Mountains. The journey was classified as a Category 3 expedition, the highest level of difficulty available at the time. Only highly skilled hikers would attempt such a challenge. The group consisted of 8 men and 2 women. All were experienced, all understood the dangers, and all willingly accepted the risks. Before leaving, they took photographs, joked with one another, and documented their preparations. Nothing seemed unusual. Nothing suggested they were about to become part of one of history's greatest mysteries. On January 23, 1959, the expedition departed. The early days of the journey went smoothly. The hikers traveled by train and truck before beginning their trek on foot through deep snow. Along the way, one member of the group became ill and returned home. At the time, it seemed like bad luck. In reality, his illness likely saved his life. The remaining 9 hikers pressed onward. As they ventured deeper into the mountains, weather conditions worsened. Temperatures dropped far below freezing. Strong winds swept across the barren landscape. Snow reduced visibility. Yet the group continued. On February 1st, something went wrong. Exactly what happened remains unknown. That night, the hikers established camp on the slopes of a mountain known locally as Kolatsiakl. Translated from the language of the indigenous Mansi people, the name means Mountain of the Dead. The name would later fuel countless theories, but at the time, it was simply another stop on their journey. According to evidence later recovered, the group ate dinner, recorded notes, and prepared for the night. Then, sometime after darkness fell, disaster struck. Weeks passed. The hikers failed to return. Concern began to grow. Search parties were organized. Friends, family members, volunteers, and military personnel joined the effort. Eventually, rescuers located the campsite. What they found was deeply disturbing. The tent remained standing, but it had been slashed open from the inside. Many of the hikers' belongings were still inside. Boots, winter clothing, food, equipment, everything necessary for survival remained behind, yet the hikers themselves were gone. Investigators discovered footprints leading away from the tent. The prints suggested the group had left voluntarily. They were not running, they were walking. Some appeared barefoot. Others wore only socks. A few wore a single shoe. The footprints led downhill toward a forest nearly a mile away. Why would experienced hikers abandon their shelter during a deadly winter storm? No one could explain it. The first bodies were discovered beneath a large cedar tree. Evidence suggested the hikers had attempted to build a fire. Branches had been broken high above the ground, indicating someone may have climbed the tree to look back toward the campsite. The fire had burned out. The 2 hikers nearby had succumbed to the cold. Soon afterward, 3 more bodies were discovered between the tree and the tent. Investigators believed they had attempted to return to camp. They never made it. The remaining 4 hikers were not found until months later, buried beneath deep snow in a nearby ravine. Their injuries shocked investigators. One victim suffered massive chest trauma. Another had severe skull fractures. Yet there were few external wounds. One investigator compared the force involved to a high-speed automobile collision. Perhaps most disturbing of all, one victim was missing her tongue. Others were missing soft tissue around the eyes. The strange injuries became fuel for decades of speculation. The official Soviet investigation eventually concluded that the hikers had died due to what it described as an unknown compelling force. The case was closed. Questions remained. Over the years, countless theories emerged. Some believed an avalanche forced the hikers to flee. Others suggested military testing in the area. Witnesses reported strange lights in the sky during the same period. This led to speculation involving secret weapons and even UFOs. More extreme theories claimed the hikers encountered something supernatural. The truth is likely less dramatic. In recent years, researchers used computer modeling and modern avalanche science to revisit the case. Their findings suggested a small slab avalanche may have created conditions that convinced the hikers they needed to evacuate immediately. Faced with darkness, freezing temperatures, and confusion, the group may have made a series of tragic decisions that ultimately sealed their fate. Yet not everyone is convinced. Some details remain difficult to explain completely, and that uncertainty is why the mystery continues to fascinate people around the world. The photographs remain, the diary entries survive, the footprints still tell a story frozen in time. 9 hikers entered the mountains. Only one returned. Not because he was stronger, not because he was luckier, but because illness forced him to turn back before reaching the mountain of the dead. The rest disappeared into a night that still refuses to give up all of its secrets. More than 6 decades later, the question remains: what happened at Dyatlov Pass? Perhaps someday we will know. Until then, the case remains one of the most haunting mysteries ever recorded. This has been Midnight Archives. Sleep carefully. Some mysteries are never truly buried.